It's Monday, August 15th, 2011. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geeknights. Tonight, the humble home theater PC.
Let's do this.
I've entered a dangerous part of my life. Kind of like when I was young and I realized one day. No, not the most dangerous. I don't think anything I've ever done in my life qualifies to be the MD. I mean, what could come close? Maybe that one OhioCon, we were edging into MD territory.
When you stole your car back from being repoed.
What? Now, stealing my car back from the guy what stole it from me, even though he kind of legitimately stole it.
You legitimately stole it. You unlegitimately stole it.
Yeah, but I stole it back, and I actually
You
stole
could
it
have gone
back.
to jail for GTA.
Actually, I stole it back semi-legitimately. The deal was I had already paid what I owed to where the bank was like, all right, you can have your car back. But the impound lot wanted to charge me some thousands of dollars to get the car back.
That's how an impound lot works.
But they didn't give me any sort of invoice or anything. It was just a guy. So I kind of just fast-talked him into like moving the cars that were blocking my car in out of the way because he had one of the keys. And then he went to get some paperwork and I just drove away because I had the other key. I was very proud of myself that day. But that was D, not MD. But
So that guy still has a key to your car that you don't have anymore.
Yeah, I guess he does.
Okay.
So, much like when I realized one day that I could buy, pretty much any sword I ever wanted. Like, if I want a sword right now, I could just buy it.
Yeah.
But yet, I'm smart enough to not buy swords.
We've discussed this many times.
So, one thing that came just a little while ago from Fresh Direct, which is why we started the show a little late, is fresh graham crackers.
Yep.
The other thing that came, vanilla bean ice cream.
All right.
Combining those two is a fresh graham cracker vanilla bean ice cream sandwich, and it's really hard to not eat all of them to the exclusion of all other food.
You would bargle after like 3.
I could eat 3.
Oh, really?
I could easily eat 3.
You want to? Let's say it.
You want to? How much you gonna bet me?
You got to eat 3, and you got to feel good after.
I would feel great after eating 3. Now 7, I think I might not be able to eat because that is approaching the gallon challenge.
I could eat 2, and then I'd be like,
Really? Only 2? You couldn't force the third one down?
I don't know if I'd bargle or not. It's possible. Or I'd feel real bad if I didn't bargle.
But at least, I'm an adult, so I ate one.
I'm an adult.
I ate one just now instead of dinner. I'll eat dinner later, but I had my ice cream
Then
first.
it's not instead of dinner, is it? It's just before dinner.
I did once eat.
For it to be instead of dinner, you would have to not eat dinner. Or
I could have second dinner.
you could, I guess, semantically, right?
Have supper.
You could eat dinner and say that the dinner was instead of dessert. By reversing the order, you could say that each one was instead of the
For
other.
my dinner, ice cream, and for dessert, steak.
Yes, that is possible.
You're forgetting, though, there's dinner and there's supper.
They're the same
No, they're not.
thing. Yeah, they
Not
are.
the same.
Yeah, they are.
Not the same.
Yeah, they are.
They're not the same thing. You're saying that brunch is the same as lunch?
No.
Huh?
But dinner and supper are the same thing.
No, they're not.
2 words for the same thing.
Not the same thing.
There are 2 different meals.
There are, in fact, 2 different meals. You
There are
just choose
not.
not to eat one of them.
Uh-huh. Anyway.
You look up on Wikipedia, you'll see.
Sure.
So, there was a bunch of other tech news, but something kind of blindsided the tech world that I feel like we have to talk about.
Yeah, pretty much the biggest news in a while. Google buys Motorola Mobility. Not all of Motorola, just Motorola Mobility, which is the cell phone part, for a bajillion dollars, many billions.
Motorola's stock went way up.
Well, that's-
Google stock dropped a couple percent.
Well, that's because, so here's the rundown, right? Number 1, Google paid per share a 63% markup, meaning if you had a share of Motorola stock, you just made 63% monies. So if you had $1 worth of stock, you
I
now
really
have
wish I'd known this
$1.63.
deal was coming,
That
say,
would
a
have been
couple days
that would have been
ago.
insider trading.
Yes, it would have.
Yeah, that's how it works. But you could have even bought it today, early today after the news came out. And if you were quick enough, you probably would have made monies. Number 2, a lot of news articles out there are saying, oh, Google's doing it for the patents. Google's doing it for the patents, right? And I think part of it is Google's doing it for the patents.
Yeah, but that wouldn't be the only thing. There are
There's
more
a giant
efficient
patent war going on right now.
If they just wanted the patents, they could just license the patents.
Yeah, they could have made a patent deal with Motorola, and given them a lot less than these bajillions of dollars and had the same benefit.
Yep, you don't buy a company just for the patents unless they're going all the way down.
I think clearly...
And you never, of course, you don't pay a premium for the patents.
No. And if you look, right, at the Android, because obviously it's an Android play, it's cell phones. I mean, come on. Google was making the Nexus phones with Samsung, but Samsung's kind of weird, right? Because Samsung is pretty much, they are, I think now, the number one biggest phone maker in the world. And also a significant percentage of like the stuff in an iPhone is Samsung. And Samsung makes they make all the screens and they make all the flash memory. They're really killing it, Samsung. So even though Samsung made the best Google phone, the Nexus line, it's like, well, Google can't buy Samsung. They're too big. And, it's sort of like, well, Samsung's got all this other stuff going on. Motorola, I don't know if you people know the story, but Motorola used to be the king of cell phones, right? They had the StarTAC, and first of all, they made the first cell phone ever. They made the StarTAC. They made the Razr, right? The guy who designed the Razr, look him up. They literally, this isn't even a joke, Motorola literally worked him to death, literally. Like, he was this great industrial designer, and they pretty much, the company rode his ass so hard, they got mega rich off Razrs and stuff, and then he died because they worked him too hard. But they're making a slight comeback, with the Droid and the Droid 2 and other droids, right? And while those aren't quite as good as, say, Nexus, right, they are pretty much the most popular Android phones. But one of the problems with them, really, is that unlike the Nexus, they're all infected with all sorts of other bullshit non-Android crap, pretty much, right? So, and Motorola was really committed to Android, unlike, say, HTC, which is sort of makes phones for every OS, and Nokia, which has now gone all in on Windows.
I'm less and less impressed with HTC as time goes on,
yeah,
too.
Pretty much.
I used to really
HTC he was great, say, 3-4 years ago. Now, not so much.
Yeah. I mean, right now, my Samsung Nexus S is pretty much the best Android phone.
Yeah. But I think what Google gains here, right, in addition to the patents, right, is by owning this Motorola, they can make the droids suck a lot less.
Yeah, I mean, look at Apple. One of the biggest advantages they have is that they have a unification of hardware and software.
And they have a unification of everything from the top to the bottom, right? They even sell music. They got the whole thing.
So Google now, they can basically have, they know exactly what the hardware will be. They could take Motorola stuff and make just the Google phone.
Yeah, you can definitely predict within a year or so, right? The deal's going to take probably the rest of the year to go through. If it goes through, even if it doesn't, you'll probably see Samsung Nexus fade on Android. You'll probably see a lot of other companies maybe fade on Android because, they're like, how can we sell against the Motorola official Google, right? It'd be very hard to compete with that.
I think Google's got a plan there to keep the other vendors in because they want Android to be the commodity OS.
True, it's true. People probably still will make Android phones.
What they could do,
but it will be very difficult to compete, right? Imagine if Apple let other people make iOS phones, right? How many people would buy the, say, Samsung iOS phone versus the Apple iPhone?
One class of
people.
Even
if it was possible.
Those who don't know better and have no idea what all these companies do. They just want a smartphone. That's one class. That's a big class of people.
I don't know.
You realize how few people care about Google, Android, anything. They want a smartphone.
No,
Maybe.
but they'll go into a store that asks for the iPhone. They don't want some other phone that's not the iPhone.
No. So they either say
I want the Droid.
They either say I want an iPhone, or they say maybe I want a Droid, but they don't know what Droid means other than it's the thing that isn't the iPhone that does the same thing.
Anyway,
maybe some people want the Pre or the Pixie.
Whatever. The point is, as soon as the Motorola real Google phone comes out in a year or year and a half, right? It's probably going to be the kickinest Android phone that'll just own everything.
We'll see. Google has really had a long history of getting 80% there on everything.
That's true. But iPhone's not looking so good now, so I got to bail to something. And why wouldn't I bail to the official 100% Google phone if that's an option?
So what's bugging you about your iPhone?
No, it's not so much the iPhone now. It's the future of iPhone.
Ah.
That is not looking too good.
The Pre was kind of a mistake on my part. It still has a better interface than any other smartphone, hands
the Pre
down.
would have been fine if they just didn't give up on it. And
I know, they gave up
bought it.
way too quick.
Yeah. There's nothing actually wrong with it software-wise. Hardware-wise, it's some problems. But that was only in the durability department, not in the rest of the department.
I mean, it wasn't the fastest phone, but the battery lasted for fuck ever. It was just that there weren't any apps. Like, you couldn't even use Latitude.
And it's still the
on
only
it.
thing that got the unification of messaging correct.
I know. Android, I still, it really bothers me.
Why is there Mail and then Gmail separate apps? What the fuck?
Yeah, why is chat and SMS different?
What the fuck?
Why can't it just be one chain? Anyway.
Tom Free did it right, and that's years old already.
I know, and what happened to them?
They
Features don't sell. Well, it's more than that. It's that they didn't market it well. There wasn't enough hardware for it. There wasn't enough buy-in. There were no apps, which wouldn't have mattered early on, but apps became such a massive commodity.
But like
to the average
you could
user.
make app. It was so much easier to make apps to the pre than for anything else. You just made them in HTML and JS and whatever. I guess what the major problem they had there was they didn't get the development tools out fast enough, right?
The thing is, I didn't
if they
need
would
apps.
have had those
I
dev
still
tools,
don't need apps. I don't care about apps. The only things that are quote apps that I care about are some very fundamental things like the new Google Maps with the vector based. I really need that. I like the fact that I can look at Google Maps in the subway.
Yeah, but the thing is with basically what an app is really is the phone doesn't already come with this essential feature, so they make you pay extra for it.
Yep.
And maybe it's actually beneficial for somebody because they don't need that extra features. They don't have to pay for it.
But the only things I needed were the official Google things, and I can't really think of much else.
Some fun games.
Yeah. The only games I own on my phone.
Some things that interact with the services that you use that are not
That's
Google.
the Angry Birds. That's an alchemy game that I got sick of and deleted.
Let's see what I got on my phone right now.
And I have Settlers of Catan that I got for review purposes, and I don't really play anymore.
Here's apps I got on my phone that I actually use. Right, so I got Twitter app, but I won't need that because the next iPhone will integrate it.
I use the official Twitter app.
Yeah, so that's an app.
All the Google stuff I have, but
Beluga.
I have Beluga.
All right, I got Remember the Milk.
I don't use that.
All right, I use that because Google Tasks was not living up.
Yeah, I use Google Tasks a lot more now, but not on my phone.
I used to use Remember the Milk. Google Tasks was failing me, so I switched back to it. Spotify, got that on there.
Oh, yeah. I'm thinking about dropping Spotify, though.
I don't know.
I paid for it to see. It's pretty great, but I'd say I only have about a 50% hit rate of searching for music.
Yeah, I got more than that, but it doesn't have any of the weird foreign anything.
Which is a lot of what I want.
Yeah, right?
Because I already have a lot of the other stuff.
I know.
And you know what's not in there? All the Meatloaf stuff I actually want.
What? I thought I saw every Meatloaf album.
Yeah, not all of it.
Not all of it?
No.
What?
When I searched for Meatloaf, there's only one album it gives me. The rest was all from my own collection.
Let me search this here.
And a handful of singles is what I saw.
Let me look.
Also, no Beatles, no Zeppelin.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's missing like a few big ones, right? Let's see. Albums.
Search for some Meatloaf in there.
Bad Outta Hell, The Very Best of Meatloaf. Bad Outta Hell, Bad Outta Hell 2, Bad Outta Hell 3.
Are they all available to listen?
Bad Outta
Or
Hell.
are they just listed?
Bad Outta Hell 3.
Can you listen to them or are they just listed?
You can listen to them. They're all there.
Because when I went in before, this was like some weeks ago.
You seem to have this big fail at searching in general,
No,
right?
it listed all the albums, but then I clicked on each album and it had the tracks were all grayed out. And if you hover over them, it was like, this isn't available in your region.
Uh-huh. I've seen that happen for some albums, but not for Meatloaf.
Yep. But I don't know. I don't use it enough to be worthwhile. It also, the caching stuff doesn't work that well. And
It works for me.
I have to think way ahead of when, like Google Listen, for example, just kind of auto-download stuff all the time and just kind of always has stuff in there. But Spotify, I got to like make a playlist and designate what I want.
Well, that's different. This is RSS. Google Listen is RSS. So there's a new episode. Sure, it could download it, and right? But this is just when it's just music. It's like, well, how does it know what the fuck you're going to listen to?
Oh, I know, but here's my use case. And this is the fundamental problem. My use case for music on my phone is primarily I'm stuck in the subway and I just need something to listen to right the fuck now.
Right, so...
And I don't go on really road trips anymore. I don't really need music in any other case. And the last time I went on a road trip, I tried to use the Spotify on the road trip. You know what? It kept fucking up and just like not playing or like failing or like buffer. It kept losing its signal. Even when I had full 4G and it just wouldn't work. It would like stop playing songs and it crashed my phone a couple times.
I only have iPhone 3G and I got no problems. Oh, phone crashing? Maybe I should stick with iPhone. I forgot that iPhones don't crash.
The only thing that has ever crashed my phone is Spotify.
Oh, maybe I'll stay with my iPhone.
I don't know.
We'll see how it goes. I got time here.
So anyway, I want to talk about this briefly, but there's a story here about a 20-year-old man in the Britons, Albion, who was arrested for trying to encourage people over BlackBerry Messenger to join in a big water fight he was planning.
Nice.
And it links to
Super
some other
Soakers ready,
arrests.
bitches.
Some people were arrested for posting inflammatory comments on Facebook.
How can you be arrested for posting something on Facebook? Do they have freedom of speech over there or
No,
not?
they don't.
Then why the fuck would anyone live there?
You realize there is no freedom of speech the way we have it in the U.S. and Britain. I mean, here, I could right now on Geeknights call all of you to riot illegally, and I could do it pretty seriously, and you would have to actually, like, really take me seriously and actually, like, make moves to actually riot
You'd have
before
to
they
make
even
be a
consider going after
specific
me.
threat that you could pull off, and we're gonna pull off against the person, right?
Yep.
It's pretty rough.
But one, I'm interested that they arrested an arbitrary number of people for inciting riots and posting inflammatory comments on Facebook. I don't think they've seen the
Maybe
rest
there's
of
a
Facebook.
reason that there's these riots is because you're arresting people for posting shit on Facebook.
No,
if they
no.
were arresting people for posting shit on Facebook in the U.S., you know what? I might be convinced to riot.
Scott, the reason there's riots because there's chavs.
I know that too, but the thing is, if there was that, we lost a bunch of freedom here, but that's crossing a line, I think.
Well, the line that's being crossed, and it really bothers me, is that one, Britain is seriously.
If I go to Britain, even though I'm a U.S. citizen, do I got to deal with that shit?
I guess.
Oh man, I don't want to go there now.
But I mean, Britain is seriously, like, they're looking into shutting off IM networks and things when riots and protests
San
happen.
Francisco, right? So San Francisco, the BART trains turned off the cell phone coverage.
Yep. Now, on one hand,
And the
that was
FCC is going over. They'd be like, "What the fuck, guys?"
Now, on one hand, they provided that as a service in their own tunnels.
That's true, but
But
the
on the
FCC
other hand-
is still going to check it out.
Yeah, and I feel like there will be some legislation there, but
I don't think there'll be legislation. I think there'll be an FCC smackdown.
I don't know if the FCC can because of the weird relationship between those providers of cell service, because there was no cell service down there before.
It
And
doesn't
it's not-
matter. There was no cell service in Manhattan 20 years ago, so we're allowed to turn it off now.
But Scott, all that cell service is being provided as cell service by the cell providers, not like repeaters or like private connections. I mean, if I buy a femtocell from like Sprint in my house and I just fucking unplug it one day, am I in trouble?
Maybe Sprint can get you in trouble because with Sprint, not with the government.
Yeah, but so how come the FCC can? What's the difference between those two situations? Privately owned internal use.
Because I'm pretty sure BART is public. It's a public transit.
Yeah, public place does not necessarily. I mean, what if I invite people over to my house, have a big public party?
No, as in BART is BART is government. It's a government train. I think it is. I could be wrong.
Yeah, and how does that exactly affect the situation?
Because now the government is turning off private cell phone networks.
But at the same time, they're turning off the private part of the cell phone network they purchased to themselves run for people as an optional, like, extra service.
It's a municipal cell phone service? It's not Sprint or Verizon or something?
You realize the cell services are regulated much in the same way that the telcos were in landlines. By the FCC.
Oh, okay.
But there is a distinction, Scott, between, for example, a cell tower that's placed by the provider for coverage in a general area versus like a repeater or something that is added to an indoor area.
First of all, I think these trains are outside.
Not all of them. They're inside and outside. And when they're outside, you get service anyway.
No, I don't know. I don't know about that.
Because you're outside.
I don't know how this works. There's not enough details because, freaking news never covers anything in
do.
deep technical detail.
From what I read in the articles about this, it said that the only thing they turned off was the repeaters that mattered in the tunnels themselves, even though most of the system is above ground.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Why then? What's the that's just stupid because it doesn't help you even if you were trying to crack
I think the real issue here is that suddenly there's a bunch of riots and suddenly the governments of the world are starting to realize that the internet and communication technology allows people to organize things, go to our bed very quickly.
It's just
and they're panicking.
Yeah, the thing that bothers me the most is the hypocrisy, right? It's like, Egypt, Syria, the U.S. goes over there and is like, oh, you're very bad, turning off internet. And then it's like, oh, shit, things are happening. Turn off internet in U.S., in Britain. It's like, well, didn't you just tell them not to? But over here, it's
but
okay.
Scott, they were clearly very different situations. I mean,
yes, one had Arab people and
Scott,
one had white people.
Over here, they were rioting. I mean, what were they doing over there that was so bad? Oh, wait, they were rioting. In fact, they were rioting for something good, and we were rioting for, I don't know.
Also something good.
Well, that's debatable.
Just not as good.
I don't know. I feel like Britain especially, they're always on the forefront of panicking about stuff like this. And the real question here is, all right, so they got this guy on BlackBerry and Facebook, these guys. That means that either BlackBerry and Facebook are colluding with the government directly in semi-real time, or that the government is snooping on this stuff on its own without BlackBerry or Facebook's involvement in semi-real time.
There's no way for us to know which one of those is true, but it does mean, the guy was messaging about a water fight, right? He was like, hey, let's go have a water gun fight. Super soakers, water balloons, let's go, right? That means that someone in the government read that message, whoever they got the message, and actually was like, we got to stop this fucking super. It's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You're like, oh, we got to crack down and go arrest the guy who wants to do super soakers. What kind of moron is, even the cops in New York would be like, all right, dude, seriously, water super soaker in the park, you're shooting the old people. Cut it out.
Oh, so you know what? Here's why they went after this guy.
Where's the common sense?
Scott, here's why they went after this guy. In 2008, there was a spate of mass water fights in British towns and cities that were organized through social networks.
So?
Most remained peaceful.
So
clearly they have to crack down on that.
Clearly we're not allowed to have water fights. That would be, oh, God, no.
In fact, you want to throw some fuel on the fire? This month, a water fight attended by thousands of young Iranians attracted the attention of Tehran's morality police and led to a series of arrests. So Britain, way to be just like Iran.
Yeah, crack down on those peaceful, fun water fights. See, now it would be really cool. See, if I was the chief of police, you know what I would do?
Join the water fight?
I would show up with the cops like we were gonna bust it up evil.
And then all the cops pull out their water guns?
No. All the cops are secretly firemen. Oh, shit, you're getting wet now. Yeah, what's that super soaker? That's a joke. Talk about this.
I was going to make a joke.
Oh, you drowning? Oh, what?
Scott, I was going to make a bad joke about how we did that once during the civil rights movement, and people were really mad about it, so we can't do it again.
Oh.
Yeah.
But I'd just be having a water fight.
Yeah. So, I don't know. This is a topic kind of for another show. I just wanted to call attention to this simmering. It's not really a debate. It's just the governments are panicking and starting to realize that, like, say we got really mad. In Britain, it's a bunch of chavs and idiots rioting over nothing. Say a bunch of nerds got mad. All right. We're going to organize via social networks and SMS and everything, and we're going to use encryption.
Yep.
Of course, BlackBerry's encrypted.
No,
which
it's
means,
not.
Well, it is encrypted, except that BlackBerry can open it up to the government.
Yeah,
so
okay.
clearly, BlackBerry is opening it up to the government.
Now, you technically...
The implication here is that BlackBerry has opened it up to the government recently as a result of what was happening here, which is interesting because I recall much of the West being up in arms when countries in the more brown parts of the world were demanding that BlackBerry open up to their governments.
The point is, right...
It's like the most hypocritical thing that could possibly happen.
You talk about encryption. Technically, I could rot 13 something and send it to you, and that would be encrypted, right? But it's not really encrypted because anyone could just be like a derp, and crack it. On top, it only counts as encryption if it's end-to-end public-private key. You can't crack it unless you have 1 million years in a supercomputer.
I would argue,
encryption.
Scott, that doesn't matter. It depends on what you're trying to do. If you need to organize something quickly, it only needs to remain encrypted for however long it takes to organize your event.
Right, but you can still use end-to-end public-private key. They would never break it, and it would totally work.
But that requires a large amount of pre-planning on behalf of everyone.
So?
All right, so public-private key. All right, so I want to coordinate with some Joe Schmo out there right now because we're going to have a riot tomorrow.
You have the thing set up in advance.
That's what I said. It requires coordination and pre-planning.
No, but here's the problem, right? Is that none of these social networking mechanisms, right, have encryption built in. You could easily just imagine if Facebook had a public key store built into it that was transparent. All Facebook could be public-private key. No one would even have to do anything. It would just be perfectly encrypted all the time.
Yeah, and Facebook and the government don't want that.
Maybe I should make that.
Yeah, we should add it onto Google Plus.
I could just plop it on top of SMS or whatever.
Yeah, there'd be still a lot of pre-planning, getting people on board, and people have tried similar things in the past.
You sign
with,
up for
email.
an account, it generates a...
Scott, to this day, how many people do you know who actually use PGP or GPG to sign and or encrypt their email and actually use it?
Is that requires a lot of extra clicks, right? And typing things in.
Come on, we had Fire GPG.
Yeah, it required extra clicks and typing things in. You could be done in such a way that requires not even knowledge on the user's part that the encryption is taking place. yet it could be fully encrypted.
But that would still require, for example, those people would have to have a key generated for them that is put in privately on their side, and their public key is put in a repository somewhere.
Yes.
And there has to be some sort of identity validation so you know whose key you're getting. That already breaks the chain of trust for most people.
As long as you trust the centralized public key repository.
Yeah, so I'm going to trust Scott Rubin's repo.org.biz.tl.
It's not going to be like that.
Yeah, it will.
No. Plus, if you got the wrong public key, you know what? The messages wouldn't decrypt properly. They'd be all garbled. What could possibly... You're not sending your private key to me.
Well, you realize if I encrypt my message for a public key that's illegitimate, they can decrypt the messages that I directed at them.
That's true. You could accidentally send your message to the wrong person if you get the wrong
So
public
I would
key.
flood your stupid registry with 1 million names, all slightly crooked, slightly so, all going to me.
Sure.
Yeah.
But your friend, but the thing is, when you add your friend to your buddy list and you start talking to him and he doesn't get the messages, he'll be like, hey, you added the wrong guy to your list. Delete. Add a different
But
guy.
it's too late for that when the riot's about to go
Because
down.
the first message you sent was, hey, let's riot.
I
As
finally-
opposed to, hey, what's going on?
I imagine, people who aren't
Sign
nerds,
up for a brand new social network. First message, riot. It's like, seriously?
people who are nerds don't think about this stuff until it's time to riot.
I think people will be using, if it's a successful network, people will just be using it over the course of whatever.
Yeah, and no one's making anything like that.
I could make it
Oh,
trivial.
yeah, you gonna?
Maybe I will. That's
Yeah?
really unlike other things I'm doing that require a lot of time and effort. That's an encrypted message sending thing is really simple. It's like I actually made one in college.
I remember.
For like one project in a class. I took a day or two with 2 other guys in Java.
But anyway, things of the day. There was that Wheatley puppet that everyone saw on YouTube a while ago. It's pretty cool. And here's a nice page of how the girl who made the awesome Wheatley puppet made it. And it's actually surprisingly complex.
Yeah, I noticed that the video of the puppet got around the internet big time, but the page where she on her little blog that actually showed all the pictures of the back and all that other stuff did not get around the internet nearly as much, which was surprising.
Because this is the much more interesting part. It's surprisingly well done.
And you can learn a thing or two about building stuff.
Yeah. She has very detailed pictures of every step, every problem, everything.
Also, did you know that if Jim Henson went to the University of Baltimore? Oh, no, Maryland. It's near Baltimore. Did you know that?
No.
Did you know that you could go there and major in puppeteering?
It's like with the printing major. Why didn't someone tell me that when I was still in school?
I knew that because I went and I looked at the University
So
of
how come you're
Maryland.
not a puppeteer?
Because I want computers more than puppets.
Nah.
That's why. I could have gotten the joint computer puppeteer thing and made, that's robots. Oh, well. So check this out. This is real simple. I don't know how many people, have actually programmed websites, right? But, if you use something like PHP, if you use PHP, the way it's done in general, there are template languages for PHP, but most people, the code of the PHP is mixed in with the HTML. That's how it works. And it makes a big mess, and this is why real programmers, quote, real programmers, hate PHP, because it makes a big mess, and you could program yourself into a hole, and, something that takes a second to do, and something that is more well-written and clean in some other language might take hours to do in PHP if the project is already a disaster. But to do something simple, like a one-page form in PHP, is a lot less work, because you can just slap it together real 1, 2, 3 quick. But PHP is generally hated among real programmers and programming communities. So this guy made something that was just a funny joke called Django PHP. And what this does is you can have a Django app, and in the Django templates, which are separated from the Django code, you could actually put PHP in there, and it sends it to the PHP interpreter where it gets, executed, and it comes back. So you can put PHP in the Django, and the best part of this is the FAQ on his page, which is why would you do that? And the answer is troll face. Haha. It's pretty good. It's not something for serious.
No. But
I just
anyway. So in the meta moment, the book club book is the ear, the eye, the arm. We'll be
I'm
doing
already
it.
almost halfway through.
Mine hasn't shipped yet. Apparently, a lot of listeners ordered it, and it hasn't shipped for them either.
I got one.
Yeah.
This is what you get for hesitating. People
I didn't
gotta learn.
hesitate. I ordered it before I announced it.
I ordered it after. How come I got it already?
I don't know. I ordered it from Amazon. It's still like pending shipping.
Amazon loves me more than you.
I guess.
Wait, did you order something else with it?
No.
I ordered 2 books.
Actually, no, I
Daddy,
did.
2 books.
Scott, I did. And you know what? All that other stuff, I got the notice where it shipped separately.
I don't know. I got the book.
I don't know. It's a short read.
Yeah,
We will do the book club book after PAX.
probably.
There's no way we'll do it before PAX.
I'll probably finish it though before PAX.
Yeah,
you
but
won't.
I won't, well, unless I get the book. But even then, we wouldn't record it before PAX.
No, not a chance.
The next book club book is not announced yet. We will be at the Penny Arcade Expo, aka PAX, in 2 weeks.
Yep.
We're doing a panel on Saturday, Discover the Forgotten Masters. Little secret for you listeners, so you know what we're doing, because the masses out there won't. Talking about some Outlaw.
I don't think you have to do the whole panel here.
I'm not doing the whole panel, just saying I'm talking about some Outlaw.
All right.
Maybe some Sopwith.
What else are we doing at PAX?
From 6 to 8 p.m. in the workshop tabletop area, we will be doing demos and teaching of Seven Wonders, Carcassonne, Inspectors, and Spotted. And there will be other tabletop workshop stuff going on in those rooms. All con.
All right. Also, you should know, as usual, we are on the internets. Internets exist, and we are all over them internets. We're on the Facebooks, the Twitters, our website, our forums. We got emails, geeknights@recruit.com. We got everything. So wherever you are on the internets, you should come and connect with us in the fashion of your choosing. iTunes, I don't give a shit. Do whatever you want.
So I very recently built my HTPC, and it's going pretty great.
We did an episode on HTPCs, but it was like a combo episode. And
It was one of those episodes where I look back at it and I was like, wow, yeah, that was probably a crab people at the last second.
This is also a crap people at the last second.
No, we came up with this idea almost 24 hours ago.
It was still a crab people. It
Wasn't
still
that
is.
bad? Yeah. But also, we haven't, that episode, from what I looked at, we didn't really talk about designing an HTPC or like the uses, pros, cons, all that stuff. We pretty much just talked about the HTPC that you would happen to build.
All right, well, here's pretty much what it comes down to, right? I tell this to people all the time, and not enough people listen to me, right? You look around the world, and there's so many boxes people connect to their televisions, right? They got game consoles. They got cable boxes. They got DVD players. They got Blu-ray players. They got VCRs. They got Rokus. They got all kinds of ridiculous crap connected to their TVs. But the thing is, everybody should, Apple TVs, forget that shit.
Nah.
Everybody should connect a real Windows running desktop computer, to their television, right? If you don't care anything about video games, a Mac Mini is okay. But if you care about games at all, it has to be a Windows computer. The benefits of doing this are ginormous. I don't understand how anyone could not do this. Right? Who cares about, right? And then cancel your fucking cable because you don't need that shit anymore, right? Now, you might think, well, I've got, my Netflix on my Xbox, and that's enough for me. Well, maybe it is enough for you. Maybe all you really do in your life is Netflix and Xbox games.
But not that long ago, the other night, I was thinking, hey, I should show Emily the Goonies because she's never seen it, and I kind of want to watch it again through adult eyes.
And was it on Netflix?
It's not on the Netflix streaming.
Well, you'd have to get it on a Netflix disc.
Yeah, but
and
I
your
couldn't
Xbox
have that.
Is a DVD player.
I could not have that right then. I'm sitting in the living room. I'm like, hey, the Goonies. I click, not there. In the time it would take me to even so much as get up and think about putting something in my queue, I could just torrent it.
Yep. And you couldn't play a torrent on anything but a real computer. And so that's why you have a real computer.
Yeah.
The other thing you can do, right, is a lot of people out there, they're paying money for virtual console games. They're paying money for all sorts of other, downloaded games that you could just emulate. And if you have a real computer connected to your TV, you can run all sorts of emulators. And
I don't even feel bad about the emulating because I owned pretty much all those games.
Yeah, I mean, technically illegal, but whatever. I have every Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, MAME, and now I just added N64.
Don't forget Atari.
I don't have Atari, but you could get Atari games on there too. All right, you can get all those games on one computer. Takes up hardly any room. If the computer's powerful enough, you get some wireless Xbox 360 controllers with the adapter, and now you can sit all the way on your couch and play these games on your PC full screen. On top of that, there's plenty of PC games out there, which you could even acquire legitimately. Steam has plenty of games that are best played from the couch or the controller.
I mean, I bought Batman Arkham Asylum on Steam because it was cheaper and my computer is a badass. But
right, if you could buy a game on Steam, which is going to be around forever, versus some console, which you're going to, right? Of course, you're going to always prefer the Steam version, or at least, maybe even a DRM-free version.
Yeah, because look at Steam. All right, so I'm logged into my computer. I log into Steam. All my games are there. Go to the HTPC, log into Steam. All my games are there. Go to any computer in the world, log into Steam. My games download, and now they're there.
Yeah. So, I guess the same is true for Xbox, kind of.
Kind of, but not as easy. How easy is it for me to go to your place, log into your Xbox, and then play my games without messing stuff up?
Yeah, it's a pain in the ass.
Or typing passwords in front of people.
Yeah. But if you look on Steam, there's plenty of games on Steam that are actually, while they are PC games because you play them on a PC, they're actually much more suited to television play, all right? For example, right, Bastion, I made a big mistake. I didn't think that would come out for PC, so I bought it on Xbox. But look, it came out for PC. Oops, I should have bought it on Steam, right? Let's see what else is on here. Oh, Limbo, which has been on Xbox the longest time. Glad I didn't buy it, because now it's on Steam, and I could go buy it on Steam instead of buying an Xbox. Also, Xbox basically never has sales or free games, right? Steam has mega sales, and also PCs in general have tons of free games, and many of which you could play with a controller from your couch.
Yep.
HTPC can't be beat. Also, a lot of people out there going away from the games, right? A lot of people out there have TiVos and shit like that, or DVRs built into the cable box. Well, guess what? A PC can also be DVR. You just slap a capture card in there, and you're good.
Well, the thing is, my fancy TV actually did come with a sort of like internet thing where you can plug an Ethernet cable into it, and it says it'll play videos and like get stuff from your computers on your local network and get stuff online and some sort of Yahoo thing.
But it sucks.
It sucks so hard. I've never in my life seen a TV that had a reasonable interface for anything.
Right, so if you get a PC, obviously the interface isn't ideal. Using the mouse and keyboard from the couch to go around the Windows desktop is not so great. But you can use two things. You can use, number one, Windows Media Center, right, which is great, but it only has support for a certain number of things, but the interface is awesome, and it's great at DVRing and stuff like that. And Boxy, which is totally free. You don't need a Boxy box. Just install Boxy, which is free on a real computer. And guess what? Now you've got this great interface that you can easily use from your couch with just 4 arrows and a button like an iPod sort of, to go look at YouTube, to go look at Crunchyroll, to watch TED videos, to College Humor, watch any video file you've got in any drive on your whole network that's accessible. All kinds of stuff just sitting there. Netflix is even on Boxy.
Well, it's more, the real selling point is that people who don't have a computer hooked up to the TV don't really experience the kind of interesting communal behavior that we've seen that people who have this sort of setup do.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things, right, where like people don't realize what they're missing because they don't have it. And if you try to convince them they need it, they say, oh, I haven't had it yet. Why would I need it now? But once you have it, you realize, how did I ever live without this?
I mean, the internet is basically my pastime when I'm sitting around in front of a TV, where before it would be TV.
Yep.
Right? Before was what? Before we came to RIT was the last time we had cable.
Yeah, and every time, look at like Hulu, right? Hulu's trying to charge you money to use Hulu on the Xbox. You can just go to Hulu.com on a real computer.
Even Boxy, the Hulu Boxy thing won't let you watch certain stuff.
Without paying.
Yeah,
but you can still... the point is, Xbox won't let you watch anything.
Some shows in Hulu are marked as free, but not available on any mobile or TV connected device.
But you can just watch them in the real browser.
Yeah.
Because you have a real computer connected to your TV and not some Apple TV or Xbox. You have a real computer. So the Hulu doesn't know. They think you're sitting at your desk. They don't give a shit.
Yeah, it's pretty much great in every way, but I don't think we need to sell you guys on that.
Well,
so
I think I had to sell it because so many people are like averse to it. They're like, screw that. So you gotta open the HTPC show selling people.
Yeah,
on
you
it.
gotta have the culture of it. Our friends come over, we play a board game or whatever, and when the night's winding down, we kind of gravitate over to the TV, and it's YouTube Russian roulette.
Yeah.
Until Scott Johnson gets the keyboard.
Yeah, that's the thing. You gotta be careful. If you got an HTPC that's shared, some people are not so good with the keyboard. They're not efficient. So everyone's sitting there like going, oh, come on. While they're
it's not. I don't
very
care
slowly.
if they're slow. Here's the problem person. The person who really wants to show everybody something, and they wrestle the keyboard away. They've got the reins. It's kind of like you realize this is the modern equivalent of a drum circle for geeks.
Yeah.
So they get the drum, and they start pounding in some like 10-minute video no one gives a shit about. You gotta have a gong. I feel like I want to order a tiny gong and put it next to the TV.
See, here's my problem though: is like sometimes I'll be like, if your mood, even if you have a good something real good, but your mood clashes with the group mood, right? And it seems like the group mood always trends towards lowest common denominator and shortest attention span all the time, as the group size increases.
I've shown people 30-second videos where 10 seconds in, they're like, "How long is this?"
Right. And
I'm
sometimes
like, dude, the guy didn't even get hit in the nuts yet.
I'll
Just
be
wait.
in a mood for something that's incredibly intelligent that might be 15 minutes long.
Or ponies.
Perhaps
it's one of those two things.
Yeah, perhaps a TED Talk, right? But it's like they'll just be, I can't, if you try to bring it, you'll get gonged even though it's amazing. And sometimes people won't even let you bring it to the table because they're turned away. Even before you start playing, like, how long is this? And I'm like, come on, don't be that guy. Don't be the short attention span, low intellect guy.
Sometimes you're not always in the mood for a long thing. What if you're in the middle of socializing? I mean, you've done this sometimes. We're sitting around socializing. We're not really watching stuff. The TV's just on.
Then don't have the TV on at all, period.
No, because interspersed with the socializing, like someone's futzing, and then a 30-second pony video comes up. We all laugh and then resume talking.
That's the definition of short attention span that should be avoided.
No, because the long attention is on the conversation, interspersed with every now and then a short funny thing.
Short attention.
Or
it's not attention if you keep interspersing. Attention means do not go away from what you are doing at all. Every time you distract, that is the opposite of attention.
Nah, but it's not a short attention span.
It
It's
is.
not limited.
The span was short. It was shortened because you could not pay attention for a long period of time.
For
as soon
example,
as you stop paying attention, that is the end of the span.
But Scott, usually the
beginning of a new
conversation
span.
and the media are integrated in some way. Like we're talking about old movies, and then we keep bringing up the movie trailers relevant to the movies we're talking about, and then out of nowhere, you're like, let's watch this half-hour TED Talk.
I don't know.
That's what you do.
That's not what I do.
That's why.
No.
The other thing is, it'll be the end of the night. Time to go to bed. We're going to watch like Hush Now, Quiet Now, and then we're going to lay our sleepy heads. Everyone's about to leave. We're going to watch like one last thing, like one last nut shot. And then you're like, oh, I know just what to watch. It's like an hour-long lecture.
Yeah, to go to sleep. How else do you want to go to sleep? Something that's exciting in 2 seconds isn't going to put you to sleep.
That one XKCD was very, I don't know,
Yeah. It
illustrative of
was
this whole
perfect.
situation.
Yeah. But anyway, let's talk about HTPC hardware,
All
right?
So you pretty much have three options.
Well, problem number one, right? You need your HTPC to be small, quiet, energy efficient, right? But also,
I'm going to say that quiet matters more than all of those things.
quiet does matter the most because you're watching a movie. You can't have bzzz going on, right? I even turn off my air conditioner if I'm watching a movie because it's too loud. Can't hear the movie.
Yeah, and my real computer, I would not put that anywhere other than my computer
Well, my
room.
real computer is also quiet.
Mine is quiet, except when I'm editing video, and then the extra fan kicks in.
Oh, yeah, right. But so you need it to be small, incredibly quiet, and also powerful enough to push HD videos without lagging or anything, and also powerful enough to play a bunch of games. But you still want it to be small and quiet, so it can't be so powerful that it's like this, mega GPU beast.
You might not need the power. You might just need HD. You might not care about playing the game. Some people
Well,
don't.
the thing is, if you don't care about playing the games, Mac Mini, end of story. Right?
As
much as I hate,
no. There are other options there.
What are the other options?
Actually, there are some. I forget what company it was, but they made a little Mac Mini clone. I think Samsung has one now too.
There's a few. Dell makes a tiny thing, I think.
And you know what?
Zotac makes a bunch of tiny things.
They're way cheaper
They're
than the
way
Mac
cheaper
Mini and
because-
just as powerful.
No, they're not. They're not just as powerful. This is the thing, right? The Mac Mini, while it is $600 or $700,
All right, Scott, let me qualify that.
Compared
just
to-
as powerful if all you want to do is stream HD video from somewhere.
No, all those little tiny computers that aren't made by Apple, I've looked into this. All the Zotacs and things, they're running like Atom CPUs. They're like netbooks. They can't do 1080p's smoothly. The Mac Mini now, I believe, has like an i3 or an i5.
i5.
Yeah, it has an HDMI port in it. It can push whatever the fuck you want. It can do better than 1080p.
Scott, the thing is, one, you're probably looking at the low end of these models because if you go up to the higher ends of these things, they're still way cheaper than the Mac Mini. They can push 1080p just
All right,
fine.
I'll go look for one while we continue. But anyway, you get some, Rim is right, get some small already built computer if you don't care about gaming.
But I guess there is a distinction. You don't always need the Mac Mini. There are options that will work.
Yeah,
you
you
just have
might
to do
be
your research.
you might be so, and I'm anti-Apple to begin with, but the point is,
I'm only anti the price. You realize that the Mac Mini, the cheapest one, is not that great even. And then it's $600 like minimum.
Yep. I mean, I'm just anti OS X, but the point is, if you want an HTPC and you don't care about games, that's pretty great.
But at the same time,
well, there is one advantage though to the non-Apples that I cannot neglect to point out is that Apple doesn't even have optical drive anymore, and the not that you need one, but the non-Apple stuff, a lot of them have Blu-ray. So if you're, I hate Blu-ray. I think you're stupid to waste money on Blu-ray. But if you're, maybe you're so hardcore.
I thought about Blu-ray. I built my HTPC and I put a $9 DVD R, not even an RW.
Yep.
And by R, I mean read. But, and I looked, I was like, oh, maybe I should get the Blu-ray. And I look online, I'm like, $60. And I didn't do it.
Yeah.
I spent the $9 on the DVD ROM.
Anyway, so if you maybe you don't want to get something that's already built, you want to build your own something that's going to be a good HTPC.
Well, then there are still 2 real options.
Yeah, the thing is,
no, there's 3, but the third option is the ghetto PC. Which, you know what? If you don't have money, any PC, even if you're connecting it with S-Video, is better than no PC.
That's true.
So if you've got like an
just
old
get
tower,
an old busted laptop.
Get an old tower and stick
find.
it next to there. Maybe it's going to be SD. Who cares? It's still the internet. It's still video. You can see the guy getting hit in the nuts just fine.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that Core Solo Mac Mini worked for a long time.
Hell, before we
works.
had the Core Solo, we had this tower PC just sitting next to the TV, and it was plugged in through an adapter with S-Video. It barely worked.
Mm-hmm.
But we used it.
Yeah.
I just suddenly remembered that when we got to RIT, there was no YouTube. Times have changed.
So here's a Zotac Z-Box AMD E350 APU 1.6 gigahertz dual core with HD memory and Blu-ray all in one mini PC. That could do the trick, but it's still a little bit on the slow end.
It's probably
right?
fast enough for 1080p.
It's probably good enough for most people, and it does have Blu-ray, but 1.6 gigahertz dual core is a little on the weak side. So if you try to push it, you might get some lagging.
Yeah, what I'm saying is
the box looks real nice.
What I'm saying is things like
small.
that are fine if the highest you go is playing your Blu-ray video.
Yeah. Anyway, so if you're gonna build something, right, first thing you gotta look at actually is the case, because there's so few HTPC cases. I mean, maybe you don't care that you have something that doesn't look like a piece of home theater equipment, or you don't care if it's just a big mid tower next to your TV. In which case, just build a computer that has, a video card that has an HDMI output on it for like whatever you're willing to spend, and you're good to go. If you do care, there's like really not that many cases to go with.
Lee pretty much they make the only ones that are worth getting. Well. Unless you already have one option here. You have to decide straight up if you're making a real one, like a small HTPC, not just a big tower. If you're gonna go micro ATX or mini ITX.
Well, mini ITX, right? You might as well buy something like this Zotac Z-Box where they've already done it for you, which is even smaller. To put together your own ITX computer is a nightmare.
It's not a nightmare. It's not nearly as bad as it used to be.
It's not as bad as it used to be. It's still bad, and good luck getting the heat not to overheat and make the fans not loud.
There's some really nice mini ITX cases that have really good cooling and are really quiet.
It's a lot bigger pain in the ass than you think, and you won't be able to get the horsepower enough to equal the same price as the already built box.
Well, this is it. The only drawback to the ITX, in my opinion now, is that you cannot install a video card.
Yeah.
In pretty much any case you would get that warrants the mini ITX will not have a video card that will fit in it.
You're better off, but if you want something that small, get it already put together by someone else in a box. It'll be cheaper, more powerful, better, etc.
There are some really nice cases, though, and you can make one that's way powerful and in that tiny case. And the only problem there will be that it might be slightly loud.
Yeah, but anyway, you can go and you can get a micro ATX case. Now, if you don't care about the how small it is, you can get one that's sort of boxy, like not Boxy the app, but boxy in shape, right? Sort of like the shuttle cases. And you can just fit a computer in there, no problem. But if you want something that looks like home theater equipment, something that's horizontal, looks like a DVD player, right, fits in, is all classy, there's like only one case to get, the one that we got. And all the other ones are all ugly and gamery or got sort of freaky fans and lights and glass on them. And they look like gamer PCs and they don't work.
I found a lot of them that looked really good, but they either didn't fit the video card the way I wanted, or they were way expensive.
Yeah, the other thing is that if you get something small, even if it's micro ATX, it's gonna be low profile, which means you're gonna have to get a video card that's not so tall. Now there are video cards you can get that are not so tall, they're low profile, that are still powerful enough to, do what you need them to do. I got one, Rim has one. But if you want to get a real video card because you want to play some serious brand new game, I don't see the point because most of those games are mouse and keyboard and you can't use them from your couch.
Yep.
Then you need to get something that's not low profile. And they do make some taller cases. There's, they're instead of being as tall as a DVD player, they're as tall as like an audio receiver.
Actually,
they're
what's cool, Leanne Lee, we got the PCC 37B Micro ATX Media Center HTPC case. They make an identical case that is just bigger. It is ATX instead of Micro ATX.
Exactly. So you can get that one, but it's big, so make sure you have room.
You probably don't need it because
you can get a pretty good low profile video card that's going to cover you.
Well, the way they work, let's go through all the hardware. So let's assume you're going Micro ATX because you're going to build like a default HTPC. Yep. I'll link to the one I built because it's pretty good. Just go on Newegg, find the best low profile NVIDIA card there is, and just buy it. It won't be more than $100.
I know there's some ATI fanboys out there.
Fuck you. Well, you're wrong.
Here's the thing.
So wrong.
Here's the thing. Number one, right? I actually have ATI in my HTPC, and it kind of works. But you know what? There's some problems. Remember, Rim, how you had problems like the overscan with your NVIDIA?
Yep.
You had to work it out?
Yep.
The ATI was 10 times worse than that.
Really?
Yeah, and it's only because I finally got it configured and never touched it again that it stayed that way. It was 10 times worse.
Yeah, because mine, once I found the menu, was all set.
Which you did a very bad job of finding.
Scott, you realize how easy it is to troll you? Scott, so whenever Scott's in front of an HTPC and anyone does something even slightly out of the way or he sees a config or anything that bothers him, he'll get mad and be like, oh, you should change this. And pretty much everyone in the crew will sit there and be like, no, Scott, you're wrong, and just argue with him, troll face, and he doesn't seem to realize we're trolling.
Because if you actually are trolling, then that means I'm right, which means why wouldn't you want to change it?
Because we change it when you're gone.
How could you not want to change it immediately?
Scott, I had edge enhancement turned off when I first got my TV. You know what happened? I updated the firmware and it reset all the settings.
Why'd you update the firmware on your TV?
Because I had an ass-old firmware.
What does it matter?
I just updated it to see. I wanted to see how well it worked, actually.
Oh. Anyway.
Also, it claimed that it would give me a better TV streaming experience if I use the internet.
Yeah, this is something we should talk about in general, right? Is your TV is also part of your HTPC, right? You can't separate the TV from the computer. They go together. So you have to make sure that all your settings on the TV are correct. You want to make sure. See, you can put them in 16:9 mode, but you have to make sure you got to put it in pixel by pixel mode if you've got the PC connected to it, so that all the display is correct. You right?
Well, one, if you at the very least, we should go through the whole hardware first to get the TV because the TV really depends on the hardware, which depends on the fact that you're gonna have HDMI. If you don't, if
you don't have HDMI, give up. You're gonna have a 1080p HD TV with an HDMI port. That's what you're gonna have.
Yep.
It doesn't matter which one.
A lot of people don't have the HDMI, or they're afraid of it because one thing that a lot of people don't realize. All right. Normally, when you plug a TV into a computer, there's a VGA port in the back of the TV, and then you plug the sound in separately.
Yeah, don't use that.
Well, HDMI, the sound comes over the HDMI cable along with the video.
As long as you set your mixer settings right.
So before you despair and wonder how you're going to do that, I will solve the mystery of the ages for all of you. Every video card that has HDMI on it, worth a shit, meaning all the NVIDIA ones made recently, have a sound card in them. So when you install the video card, it installs a video card driver and a sound card driver, and you just use that as your sound card, and it goes to the TV.
I've even seen some video cards where you have a little connector that you can connect audio from the sound from the.
Oh, that's if you have SPDIF. If your video card's shitty.
No, not even SPDIF. The what's it called? The HD audio connector that's usually used to connect the headphones on the front jack.
Oh yeah, I saw a couple.
I've seen a couple of those. You connect that connector to the video card, and then it pipes that into the HDMI.
Seriously though, the easiest thing to do is just get an NVIDIA card that has the sound card in it. Mm-hmm. Then it'll just work. You don't have to do anything.
Now, if you have a surround sound setup like me, you might need to use some sort of optical audio out going to a receiver or something else.
That's way out of the scope of this show.
Go listen to a home theater episode or something like that to figure that shit out. I think we did a surround sound episode.
We
did.
Go
listen to that one.
So, Power supply. Pretty much get like an Antec Earth Watts.
Get something, you got to concentrate. Too many people get too big a wattage on their, power supplies.
Well, for a non-HTPC, you pretty much go all out on the wattage because
not necessarily. You just need to make sure you have enough wattage for what you're doing.
Well, Scott, when I say all out, I mean, all right, I need about 500, so I'll get the 700 one because whatever.
Well, not necessarily. This, you got to look at how many plugs you need on your video card, right? If you're doing, say, one video card that needs 2 plugs, you could probably get away with 500, 550. If you're doing 2 video cards, you probably need the 700 because that's the only one that's going to have the 4 plugs you need for 2 video cards.
Or if you got the ton of hard drives or you're doing something fancy.
Yeah, you might have, if you have too many hard drives, you might run out of power connectors. Then you might need more wattage.
But the real key is that, 500 watts or so is pretty much already overkill for your HTPC.
Yeah,
because
remember, you're not getting a crazy video card. You're not getting an i7. You're putting like an i3 in there, right? You don't need the most powerful CPU in the world.
And more importantly, get an 80 plus because that means it's going to be way efficient and they tend to be better power supplies.
Go for efficiency and quietness above all other factors.
I highly
as long
recommend
as it has enough plugs.
The Antec Earth Watts series.
They're very good.
Very cheap. They're lacking on the features. They're not like modular or anything. They're really kind of lowball on that
who needs
front.
it?
But for the rest of it, they're a fine power supply with good wattage, good voltage control, and they're 80 plus.
Yeah. Now, the optical drive, normally you just buy a $20 optical drive, like who gives a crap?
You can get them for like $10 now.
But some of them are loud, especially the cheap ones. So most people, right, I imagine, even though I just told you, screw using the Xbox, right, use your, HTPC, well, if you're just watching a DVD and it's a legit DVD and you don't need to get, say, region free or anything like that, you're probably just better off playing the Xbox, rather than having the very loud optical drive in your HTPC.
Now, if you don't have an Xbox, invest the money in a quieter, more expensive optical drive.
Yeah, and they actually, as much as I hate the Blu-ray, you never know when a Blu-ray might show up. Someone might bring one over, right? You might, it's not that much of an investment to get a Blu-ray reading drive.
Like $70.
Right. So maybe you can...
And they almost all come with the software you'll need.
So if this is going to be your primary optical disc playing drive, you might just want to buy one that's got everything that is quiet and awesome.
Now, do not get a slot loader under any circumstances.
Under
They're
no
loud
circumstances,
as fuck.
get a slot loader. Make sure you get the tray loader.
Not only are they loud, but if you get this Lian Li case, you can't use a slot loader because it's designed to hide your optical drive behind a door.
Yep. Got to pay attention to that kind of thing.
Yep. So hard drive, whatever. Just get the cheapest Western Digital caviar.
Well, hold on. If you're the kind of person who has a NAS and computers with network shares and things like that, just get whatever cheapo hard drive you can get. In fact, I would recommend getting something like, I don't know, a very small and cheap SSD, 16 gigs. You can install Windows in a 16 gig SSD. Did you know that? Maybe.
You know what I can't install, though? Any of my games.
Well, it's true. It's true. But maybe you
or
could...
Stepmania even, any of that stuff. Or, say someone, like I want to, someone brings a video over on a USB stick. Now what?
Play it off the USB stick.
Yeah, you're going to play it. That doesn't work so well.
It works. You'd be surprised. It works real well.
Depends.
Anyway, you could possibly get away, if you have a NAS or something like that, with a small SSD, and that would get you a lot of quietness going on. But if you don't have the NAS and the network sharing, you don't know how to make it work, you don't have gigabit, something like that, just get a terabyte drive and slap it in there and load all the fucking videos in the world on it.
Yep, don't RAID, don't anything.
Yeah, but the thing is, don't store any data on there that's important because it's hard to get at, right? If you want to get the data off of there, you got to either network it or you got to go and plug a USB stick and use a mouse and keyboard on a TV screen. That sucks.
One option, because the hard drives don't add much loudness. If you don't have a lot of computers and you want to spend a little more money, get a few hard drives, put them in there, and make it also be your, bootleg NAS.
This is something else about the HTPC, right? You're only using the HTPC when you're sitting in front of the TV, and you're still going to sit in front of your desktop or your laptop or something else quite often. So that computer's just sitting there doing nothing.
So either put it to sleep whenever you're not using it.
You can A, have it go to sleep and be incredibly power efficient. 2, you can use something like Boink and have it do some work, at home, do some processing for science. 3, you can have it be like a Counter-Strike server or something when it's not being your HTPC, right? It can be your NAS. It can do all sorts of other things when you're not watching TV because it is an extra computer. Why waste it? Right? It can do all sorts of stuff to better your life in computing realms, right? For example, Apple tries to sell you a separate Apple TV and Time Capsule. Why not have Time Capsule and Apple TV be the same fucking thing? There's no reason not to, right? The time capsule's not doing anything if if you're watching TV.
So CPU, motherboard, get an Intel Core i3.
Right now, at least. And if you're listening to this,
Yes, as of August 15th, 2011,
yeah,
the fastest Intel Core i3 is way cheap.
Yep.
And you don't need the i5 because all the i5 gives you for the purposes of this is more cores. You're not going to be multitasking that much, and the i3 already has 2 cores.
That is another thing about an HTPC is it's almost always single task. You're hardly ever going to be multitasking anything. You'll be watching a video,
and
playing a game.
say I run a Counter-Strike server, and I'm watching video. 2 cores!
Yeah, you're good. Who's doing more than 2 things at once?
At least on an HTPC.
Almost nobody.
In terms of motherboard, whatever. Get some sort of Intel
motherboard that
H61 chipset. And make sure you get an LGA 1155. That is actually better than 1156.
As of August 15th, 2011.
Which is the old out-of-date standard. They made the number go down. I don't know why.
Yeah. But anyway.
You want LGA 1155.
Sure.
RAM, whatever. Just get 4 or 6 gigs.
Just get the fastest. It's the same rules for just building a computer in general, right? Get the fastest RAM that fits in the motherboard. Make sure if it's double channel, you get 2 sticks, triple channel, 3 sticks.
I pointedly only got DDR3 1333, which is actually way slower than what I could have put in and what I could have put in, my other computer, because it doesn't matter for this.
That's true,
and
but was
fine.
it that much cheaper?
Yes, this RAM was $30. It would have been about $90 to get the other
Okay,
RAM.
that's a significant. Usually I haven't seen a price difference that significant, but in that case, then absolutely get the $30 instead of the $90.
Yeah, because I was thinking RAM's so cheap when I saw
No reason to
this.
spend $60 for no reason.
Yeah. And, there's other little things, like maybe you have some Bluetooth stuff. You can buy, a Bluetooth
Oh, that's
dongle.
a very important thing. We got to talk about the interface, right? So you are going to be doing some mousing and keyboarding.
Yeah, don't think Boxy is going to be the end-all, be-all of your
computer. You could
computer.
buy a Boxy remote, or you could use things like Logitech Touch Remote, which is an app you can install on your phone and an app you install on the computer and allows you to use the phone as a mouse and keyboard.
You can also buy these super cheap Chinese, wireless USB
Yeah, I used to have
keyboards.
one of those before it was stolen. That was pretty good.
Because it's a crappy keyboard, really light, that has a touchpad on it.
Yep. Logitech also makes a little, there's plenty of devices out there that are little handheld keyboards and mice-like devices for use on HTPCs.
The key here is don't think you can get away.
The official Boxy remote.
Don't think you can get away with not having a mouse. You're going to need a mouse, and you're going to need a keyboard.
Yes, get a wireless Bluetooth mouse, right? If you want to, or just a tiny wireless mouse. It doesn't have to be Bluetooth, but Bluetooth saves you an extra dongle. Same thing with keyboard. You can get.
Bluetooth doesn't, because not all motherboards have Bluetooth native.
That's true, but if you do,
I had to spend $15 to get a tiny little Bluetooth dongle.
That's true, but you want to basically, just get wireless, tiny mouse, tiny keyboard. You can use the Apple keyboard, the Apple mouse. If you really can use the magic mouse without killing yourself.
Now, the Apple keyboard, if you have to get a keyboard, it's probably the best one.
Well, actually, I have the Asus Triple E keyboard, if you can still find one. It's also just as good as the Apple one.
Nah. Though, what you could get away with, though it would be annoying occasionally, is have the Boxy Box remote just for the keyboard, and then a little mouse just for the mouse.
Yeah, it'd be a little hard, though.
Yeah. That's pretty much it on the hardware. I mean, it's a computer.
Yeah, but the thing, it's mostly just about, how much your TV living room experience will be revolutionized if you follow this advice, and so few people actually listen to it. They're like, oh my God, a whole computer. Yeah, well, how much is your cable costing you? So when you cancel it, it'll pay for the computer in less than a year.
All right, and install Windows.
Yeah.
You're pretty much best off having Windows installed.
I mean, you could try to do the Linux Mix Myth TV thing.
It's not worth it.
It might work. You might be able to get it to go, but you're going to have troubles. There's going to be trouble with the codec. There's, not necessarily codec because you use MPlayer for everything, but you'll have a trouble at some point. If you use Mac, you won't have any trouble, but some games aren't going to play. But if you use Windows, you'll never have a trouble unless you install a virus like a doofus.
So software, install Boxy and play with it, but you're only going to be able to spend about a half to 2/3 of your time in Boxy because there's too many things that aren't in there.
Which is exactly right. That's the perfect example of why a Boxy box doesn't cut it. A Boxy box is like having a computer that's running Boxy all the time, and there's things it can't do.
Now, Boxy's great. I mean, there's a Crunchyroll app. I watch anime on Crunchyroll. Oh, but if I watch the anime in the browser, I can turn the volume down when there's ads, and the ads aren't that loud.
Well, you can use your TV remote to turn the volume down during the ads.
But I like to just use the boxy remote. So I like to just use one thing. I don't keep fumbling for stuff. And the volume shift time, it takes a while. It's slow to change the volume with the TV remote.
And plus, there not to mention, right, there's some games that like Stepmania.
Yeah, I was going to get to that. But Boxy, a lot of the apps that are there for like the Daily Show or Crunchyroll or something will play ads and will lock your volume control until the ads are done, and the ads are way louder than the show.
Yep.
I actually kind of stopped using Crunchyroll and we're pirating things again just because of that.
Yeah. But yeah, just in general, everything that all those boxes that connect to your TV, Roku's and Apple TVs, they all have these weird boxes, have weird limitations. And if you just used a regular computer, it wouldn't be that much more money, and all those limitations would go away.
Now, this is very important. You're using Windows, right? Make an admin account when you make the computer, install all the shit, make another non-administrative account, and make that the one that people log into when you're not home.
Remember, this is an HTPC. It's in a living room. All kinds of weird people are going to be using it. So you want to make sure they use some guest account that has no privileges, so they can't install anything or do anything to ruin
I made an account. It has a
HTPC.
password that is the same as the password for my wireless.
Yeah, you don't have no password at all. That's kind of weird.
And you know what? Windows is pretty good about that now. Anytime I need to do something that has admin privileges, it just says, hey, you need an admin, and me and Emily both have admin accounts. We type in our password, and it does the thing.
Yep. But yeah, gotta watch out for that.
Yep, gotta set up your Samba shares to get your stuff.
If you want to do that.
Maybe you run BitTorrent on the thing instead of on your own PC.
That's also a good idea.
Yeah.
Because then, your own PC won't be clogged down doing the BitTorrents. The computer that's actually going to play the videos will be doing the BitTorrents.
Get yourself some emulators, install some Stepmania, play some DDR.
Also, if you follow the home theater advice, right, this thing can also, what I'll do is I've set it up so I can play music while the TV's off, because I have the optical audio cable. So I'll turn on the TV, open up Spotify or iTunes or whatever, play some music, Last FM, who knows what. Then turn the TV off, and now it's a stereo that gets music from the internets. It's great.
Yeah. And your friends won't be asking to use your computer to figure out like their train schedule or whatever, or check their email.
Well, my solution to that is I have a public Chrome OS laptop.
But they will also often log into stuff, not log out. Hello, Skojo's email.
And also, when friends try to bring files over to your house and you don't trust them, you can have them put all their files in the HTPC where you can quarantine them from the rest of your real computers. And your friends will never have to touch your real computer.
This has been Geeknights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for the opening music, Kat Lee for web design, and Brando K for the logos.
Be sure to visit our website at frontrowcrew.com for show notes, discussion, news, and more.
Remember, Geeknights is not one, but 4 different shows. Sci-Tech Mondays, Gaming Tuesdays, Anime Comic Wednesdays, and Indiscriminate Thursdays.
Geeknights is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license. Geeknights is recorded live with no studio and no audience. But unlike those other late shows, it's actually recorded at night.